All right. Paul's going to remember after we start what we're talking about. Have confidence in Paul. Believe in him. All right.
I don't.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Paul.
And today we're going to be talking about...
movies that shouldn't be remade.
Oh, thank God. I'd forgotten what we were talking about and was completely relying on Paul. This episode is brought to you by our new sponsor, Fingers. When your hand needs help. Fingers.
I thought it was Gatorade. We're not sponsored by Gatorade.
Are they paying?
No.
Because I'm getting an awful lot from Fingers. Yes.
Nice.
Settle. Referee.
Nice one.
I want this judged. Okay, so films that shouldn't be remade.
Yeah.
There's no film in the history of time that needs to be remade. So can we avoid, and I'm thinking for me, stop me if I go, but there's no need. Because that's not a good enough reason not to remake or reuse a property. But it tends to be the reason I say to people, there was no need for that.
Stop it!
Let's just assume that someone is motivated to remake it. Should they be allowed? They're the films I'm looking to say, what is in the glass case? Okay. You cannot touch. What's top shelf?
The original Star Wars?
Yeah. A New Hope.
I don't think we should go to should go to like those kind of trilogy movies or anything, because then that also brings out Indiana Jones and stuff like that. True.
And just so you all know, it's not like we don't have production notes before we start. It's that we don't have production notes before we start. So we're discussing this in front of you so that when we work it out, you're there to see the output.
You can see behind the
oh yeah, behind the magic.
Behind the curtain.
That's not even a real wall. We're in a studio right now. Craft services.
That's all green
screen. Put that down.
It's all green screen. It's all green screen.
He's not even here. And I'm a hologram. Same guys that did Tupac.
Yeah, so I think if we're going to do this, we'll have to do either single movies or the full trilogy.
Okay. All right. That's a good rule. I got you.
Okay, so I'm going to put... so movies that shouldn't be remade, but probably will be.
Yeah.
Or like...
that somebody will be tempted into doing.
Okay.
I've got one. I'm just going to open it up with an easy one, if that's okay.
Okay, go for it.
Just to set the tone, I'm going to start with one you're going to agree on and everybody's going to agree on. Do not remake Jaws. Just don't touch it. Not now, not in 20 years, not in 40 years, not in 100 years. Make big, scary fish films. Don't try and remake Jaws. Don't take the exact... Don't go, we're on Amity Island. Don't say there's a shark. Don't give us a Sheriff Brody. Try not to reimagine Jaws. You can make other films similar, but there's no point in reusing that property. It has been done as good as it's ever going to need to be done. Don't do it.
Yeah, I can't really add anything to that because that is very true. I think if you did remake it, it would just feel like you were remaking a...
No. I was just... You said if they were to remake it, I was like, if he defends it, I might have
I'm not going to defend it, no.
What
I'm going to say is that if they did try to remake it, the problem would be is that the outcome would probably be very much like a remaking of a horror film. Have I gone down a level?
No, I was just checking to make sure we were recording there.
Oh.
It's all good.
Cliff notes.
Yeah,
so it would feel very much like a remade horror film. That's my problem.
And because it's not purely... It transcends genre as it is. I know what you mean. Yeah, that would be...
Because it's a slight action-y movie and stuff like that, I think that the only elements that they'll bring it would feel like Final Destination or some bullshit movie like that.
I fear that somebody is going to watch this someday and go, these are the movies we're going to make. You know, they've just given us a list of things that we shouldn't touch. Now let's ruin it.
Yeah, we're giving them assassin notes or something, assassin targets.
Yeah. So okay, Jaws. I think most of the world out there is going to agree. There are going to be people going, "Oh, it's just a big fish film." Watch it, consider when and how it was made, and then consider what you would be doing if you remade it. And again, I'm avoiding using the word need, but you shouldn't. Because there's nothing to be gained.
No, I don't think you're going to be able to do it. The only selling point to remaking Jaws is the fact is that you're remaking Jaws.
Yeah.
That's the only selling point.
At which point you just watch Jaws.
Because then the reason that people would ever go to see it would be to see how shit you've made it.
Yeah, true. Actually,
like, because there's three types of people that go go to movies. You go to see it because you're going to enjoy it. You're going to see it because you're curious, and you go to see it because you know it's going to be shit, but you just want to know how shit it's going to be. The
car crash moments. I'm going to a motor race. I want to see cars crash.
Yeah, pretty much. So another film that I'm going to suggest, and it's not. I have two, but I'm going to suggest the other one, which I think is a little bit left field. Minority Report. Ooh. With Tom Cruise. I don't think that will ever need to be remade. It is a prime target for it.
Yeah, but I can kind of off the top of my head make it probably a bad argument. So when you tear it apart, don't think ill of me. In defense of the idea of remaking Minority Report, if you took the premise 20 years from now and just applied maybe a slightly different genre to it, made it darker or made it lighter. Or there's if you bring society of the moment into it, then I could see it working as a societal reference, because it is the idea of future crimes. If that becomes prescient, if that becomes something that, if you made a film right now about fake news, it will make sense to make that film right now.
So what you're saying is the only way that you could remake Minority Report is if they were able to precog actual crime. Well, because don't forget the movie's not set during our time.
No, it is set.
Yeah, so
in the future.
It is very hard to set it in.
Yeah, and again, like I said, it would be a weak defense. But if there was ever a time where it was going to work as social commentary to say, we're starting to prejudge people. And not necessarily in the precognitive sense, but if society gets to a point where we're being profiled for any reason to that point, because when you consider what profiling is and has been from a airport security point of view for the last 20 years, people are kind of going, okay, well, there's assumed problem there because of something about you, and it's in that vein. It's not the same, but I'm saying if that was to become a bigger topic, I could see a reason. But then again,
wouldn't you just remake 1984 though, or 1980? It's 1984. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's 1984, but it's 1980. You're thinking of Orwell's. You're thinking of but that's talking about an entire society to a very massive. Again, like I said, weak defense. But I'm sticking up for the little guy. I'm sticking up for you, Tom, the little guy.
It's
you
hard.
Hear that?
It's hard. I'm short. It's hard to argue against you if your defense is essentially my argument is shit.
Well, no, I'm not saying my argument is. My argument is fabulous.
No, I think Minority Report, because I think when you said, we could make it lighter or darker, I think you could put those onto any film.
Yeah, that's true. That was weak sauce.
Which is kind of like it's hard to not go, no, that's like taking the premise and changing it so that you tell a different story.
Yeah, and then it's not Minority Report anyway.
So it's kind of like I just feel that Minority Report itself with the Tom Cruise is done.
Yeah, I'd agree. I would agree.
But see, this is because we were talking about In Time, and it's a brilliant premise, and we'd really like someone to take that and redo it.
Yeah,
I would not be like, oh, they redid In Time. I'd be like, thank God someone took that premise and actually did something with it.
I understand the distinction between remaking and taking a premise and making good use of it, or a different use of it, which could happen.
So I think Minority Report is...
We're at a point with Jaws as a gimme. Minority Report, I imagine there are people who will be able to come back with that. So, and I'd love to hear the reasons why that's worthy of a remake, because I'm with you on this. Yeah. So we're two for two ourselves.
It's a prime target though for a remake.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So what you said there was a second. What was your second?
It's E.T.
Yeah. Weirdly, because it's been, and this is going to sound awful, it's been remade piecemeal, insofar as I think everything that could be taken from E.T. and this is gonna, I love Stranger Things, but there's a definite E.T. vibe at moments with Stranger Things, up to the point that they were being obvious about it. So it's not like they didn't know. That's, I'm not that naive.
Yeah.
But I'd almost let an E.T. remake happen and not be like Hump Grump, just because I think it's a timeless story told well, as opposed to a story that's been told like Jaws, a story that's been told as well as it ever needs to be, or again, I use the word need, ever should be. I don't want. Okay, cards on the table. I don't want an ET remake ever. My heart says Paul's absolutely right. I'm devil's advocating here. I could live in a world where they remade ET. I don't know if I could contain the Molotov cocktail in me if they remade Jaws.
See, I feel like the reason why if they did remake ET, I think it's just the ET story is just too well done. So I think it's a little bit harder to do it because it's so well done.
Yeah.
You can't.
Well, the other thing is that second lightning strike. The second lightning strike of, can you really say, if they did it and they nailed it, let's say they remade ET and it was perfect, it's going to be as good as the first. It's going to be as good as the original. And then you're ringing the same bell. If you do as good a job as you can, you're ringing the same bell.
Yeah. No, I get you.
And it's not a film that you could go, we're going to remake ET, but we're going to change things up, because you're like, well, no, then don't do it. Like, I can understand remakes where they're like, we're doing this, and this is why we're doing it. We're going to change it a little bit this way, or, they weren't able to do that the first time, or I think that's a story that needs to be told again. But I agree. If you remade E.T. as good as you could, the best that would come out of that would be, wow, we've got E.T. again.
Yeah, you would just be like, the first one's still better.
Yeah.
And it's just the only deciding factor would then be the fact that E.T., like Steven Spielberg's E.T., would be the fact that it came first.
Yeah, yeah.
If it got to the point where E.T. 2, the E.T.ing, that was really stupid. Like if you decided to bring that back, even I knew that was bad.
He's back to call again, phoning home this Christmas. E.T. 2.
God,
the E.T.
Elliot, you've grown so big.
You weren't a figment of my imagination. I spent all those years in that hospital. Screw you, E.T., you asshole.
The government sued me.
Actually, I want an E.T. sequel. I've just realised a lot of these films could stand up to a sequel, I think. I would love to see E.T. now.
Minority Report wouldn't really, because the precogs are just living in a house. So there's been like majority.
But doing what we do in the shadows for the precogs, it's like, see you in the jacuzzi? Yeah.
Oh, it'd be so...
I'm never going back in another bath. Screw that.
Oh, it'd be so... It'd be just like... it would be completely silent, though.
Well,
because they would know...
You can introduce side characters.
No, it would be completely silent, because if it was just in the precogs, then they would know exactly what to do before... Like, it's just like, instead of going, do you want a cup of tea? They would just make you a cup of tea and then give it to you.
But does that mean one of them would give out to the other one for, like, having a fart and being like way prick. But what? It's like, don't eat those beans. I know what happens later on, and so do you. So that means you don't care what happens later on.
Yeah, I wonder if that will. E.T. Yeah,
no, I agree.
I get with your point. If you do make it as good, because there will be, like, if you change it enough, then it does become. Because I think they've done it a few times. They've done an E.T.-esque movie.
Yeah.
So
sure, McDonald's did an E.T. movie, Mac and Me. Have you ever seen that?
Yes, I have.
Oh my god, I remember that back in the day.
I've seen it repeatedly, because if you watch Paul Rudd going on to Conan O'Brien.
Oh, was he in Mac and Me?
No, he just plays a clip of Mac. Like, I think it's Mac and Me.
Yeah, the like old po-faced alien.
I'll show you that later. Look it up. If you look up Paul Rudd's interviews on Conan O'Brien, you'll see that every time he does, the trailer that he's meant to play during his interview always starts with the Mac and Me part where Mac falls down like off a cliff or something.
And if we remember, there'll be a link down below. If we don't, you know how to use Google.
So
That
another
was
movie.
passive aggressive. I'm sorry. We'll try to remember a link down below. I love you. I don't hate you.
Why would you leave that note on the fridge for us?
Okay,
Did I eat your cheese by accident?
This is just sounding like a list of euphemisms.
Yeah, actually
I'll show
it
you
is.
that later.
No,
The
it'd be
Mac and me.
great.
Yeah. Did I eat your cheese? Yeah, I think I'm going to try and break out of the mold of the classic films. As in the super classics like E.T. And I think your Minority Report was a good example of that. Again, sorry for turning away from the mic, folks. I think there are films that they're likely to be remade, but for all the wrong reasons. Like, I don't think you want to remake, and I was about to mention a trilogy, so I'm going to think of a better example.
No, if it's a trilogy that
they're going to reboot Pirates of the Caribbean someday.
I hope they do.
Yeah, and I hope they don't do it by trying to remake the first film. I'm fine with a reboot. And again, no, I'm not a Pirates of the Caribbean fan. I don't dislike the movies, but I'm not a fan person.
I like them. They're pretty good.
I got past 2 of them and then lost interest, I'll be honest. It's where it left me. But don't do it as a remake. I think that first film, it was what it was. It was good. If you tried to recapture that, you'd be dooming any Pirates of the Caribbean 2 comparison forever. Mm-hmm. I think it'd be terrible because it's an idea. It's an amusement park ride, but it's an idea.
Yeah, I get.
Something that's based on an idea. Don't remake the film that was made about the idea. Make a film about the idea and title it the same thing, but don't remake it. Don't be like, we have our Jack Sparrow. We have our, Keira Knightley, Orlando Bloom analogues. We've cast people that kind of look like them because, some of you that saw it when you were 10, you're still alive because that's the phase that we're going into. Don't forget.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, no, that's a good point for the fact that you're just dressing it up with new people but replaying.
Yeah,
I think that's a criteria that we also have to mention is that it's not just there has to be a small change within the thing to make it properly a remake.
Yeah,
because not a large change, but just some kind of difference. Well, that makes it enough. That's not enough to make us a reboot kind of thing where it's just like, we're going to tell the same story, but we're going to go for our own twist on it. It's more just we are redoing it and it's slightly different, but not enough for you to be like, this is a different movie.
And I think, and we've kind of gone on probably past our time on this, so I'm gonna suggest that we close on an example for the future of something that has been remade and it wasn't a bad idea, but it would have seemed like it.
Oh,
because I've got one preloaded, so I'll give you time on that. 12 Angry Men, my favorite movie, was remade with, as you've just described, and it's basically a single room stage play, a 2-room stage play. Brilliantly remade. Jack Lemmon replaced the Henry Fonda character. It was well cast.
Mm-hmm.
They updated slightly some of the references because racism still an issue.
Yeah,
but they updated the style and type and the reality of racism between the original time and now. Well, now being early 2000s when it was made.
Yeah.
So there's a film with 30 years from original to remake. They didn't change a whole lot. They didn't change the premise, but they did enough to go, yeah, I think we can make a remake that'll just retell this story, which is still a good story. Mm-hmm. But because it's such an actor's story, we can have fun having people act it out.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit easier when it's based on a play, though.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, the interpretation of theatre.
It's such an incredible tight show,
But they still updated sympathetically.
No, as in
good job.
It is, as in there's points within that play that is very welcomes updating and stuff like that. But still, the dialogue will still work.
Yeah.
And, that kind of thing. I don't have one.
Okay, well then...
I don't have one. I can't think of a movie that's been remade that I've been like, yeah, great.
Well, what about Ghostbusters? Anyway, before we set the internet on fire, we'll talk about that in the next episode. I've been giving out about stuff, and my name's been Patrick.
And I've been Paul.
And I've upset him.
It's not because of the women Ghostbusters, it's because it's a terrible written movie.
Of course it isn't. But we have to say that.
Before you fucking white knights decide to come at me.
Yeah. Bye.
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 Like,
Love
follow,
you.
ring the bell.
Yeah, and be nice to each other. Don't remake stuff.